Okay, so why even bother taking food with you when you walk your dog? Why is that a non-negotiable as far as I'm concerned? A couple reasons. You want to be able to let your dog know when they're where you want them to be, generally speaking, when they're doing what you want them to do, and when they're not doing what you don't want them to do. There's no shortage of opportunities to inform your dog of these things on a walk. People that struggle with their dog on a walk, they need to be taking food reinforcers with them. Treats are known as food reinforcers. A better term for treats, because people have a really like negative, contentious conception of treats. I literally had somebody told me one time, like, I'm not gonna follow my dog around with a cookie, like in case he does something I like. It's like, all right, well, good luck on making gains then. Um, your rate of reinforcement should decrease over time. Yes. Your dog doesn't need a food reinforcer for every single thing under the sun they do. No. But if you're spinning your wheels, like, and your dog doesn't know how to do something reliably, and, you are like struggling to get them reliable or fluent, then you're gonna need it. So reinforcement occurs in a lot of different forms on a walk, a couple different forms on a walk. So forward momentum, allowing your dog to move forward, like, moving as a team forward. Praise, like eye contact, connection, like letting them know, great job, oh, that's a boy, like good girl, so on and so forth. Okay. Food reinforcers, treats, right? um Allowing them access to aspects of the environment. So, like things and places to smell, things and places to explore and to climb up on or to crawl under or whatever it may be. Things to, like if there's an area where it's okay that they dig, stuff like that. Like John McGugan calls these things competing reinforcers. He doesn't really use the word distractions all that much. He refers to them as competing reinforcers. This could be like permitting your dog to greet people, if appropriate. Like if you have the dog that it's advisable to do so with. This could be potentially meeting other dogs. You know how I feel about it if you've watched any of my videos. Dog to dog leash greetings, I think there's like a number of things that can go wrong. But if it's a known entity, if it's your dog's buddy, like, then you can use that as a reward, as a reinforcer, when your dog's doing a good job, when they're where they should be, when they're responsive to you, and like you guys are communicating. You can use that as a life reward. But you got to have them like earn it, right? So you got to use your best judgment there. Now, another reason why you take food on a walk with you is in case you need to make a sacrifice, and in case you need to make an offering to a loose dog pursuing you. That's one thing that you can try to do, is to just reach into your pouch. I'm not a big fan of like carrying food reinforcers in a pocket. You reach into a pouch, and then you grab a handful and you can throw it. You just do a treat scatter, and hopefully maybe like that dog will deviate, and then like take a pit stop to gather up that treat scatter, while the guardian gets their butt over there and collects their dog, or while they get their dog to come back to them. Okay. So that's, even if you bought like a bully stick or some kind of chew, like every time you took your dog for a walk, if you were equipped with like a bully stick or a chew or a bone or something like that, you wouldn't use one every single time. You don't have a dog like loose pursuing you every single time you go out. If you do, you're walking in the wrong environment. You need to choose a different environment, or have a really candid, like earnest talk with those people. But good luck there. You just choose another environment if that's the case. But I've had this happen to me countless times. Like, people trust their dogs way too much. They do not supervise their dogs outside time, whether they're on like a wireless or wired containment system, or they're just truly roaming, or whatever the situation may be. So like, that is an option. But like, even if you bought like a chew for every time you walked your dog in public, a cost benefit analysis would tell you that, spending that compared to what it takes to go to the emergency vet and get your dog sutured up would be a preferable alternative. Okay. Um, Something that Michael Shikashio has talked about, if I'm not mistaken, I could be contributing this to him, or attributing this to him rather. But he's talking about when you take a dog for a walk and it's trash day. If the trash cans are still out and they're empty, like if you run into an emergency situation, then you could pick your dog up and put it in the trash can if you needed to. Your dog might freak out, but that is an option. Usually like good for little dogs. Something that I've done, and again, I may be attributing this to Michael Shikashio, and maybe it belongs to him and maybe it doesn't. I can't remember. So if it doesn't, I apologize. But I have taken an umbrella with me before on a walk. Like I wear a backpack, and like I'll put the umbrella like in the mesh pocket, the side pocket of the backpack. And I'll undo the Velcro so it's just hanging loose there, and I can just like grab it and whip it out like a lightsaber and extend it. Okay. And then you can use that to fend off the dog. It's one thing you can do to try to fend off the dog, create a barrier between you and your dog and the dog pursuing you. While hopefully the guardian gets their butt out. Their butt out there. Okay. So one thing you want to do is condition your dog to tolerate this action, this event. You don't want the first time they experience it to be when it happens organically in an emergency scenario. So you want to practice taking the umbrella out and extending it, and then rewarding them for experiencing that occurrence. Like, whoa, holy crap, that's weird, here you go, isn't that great, over and over and over again. Okay. If you have any, like, if it's even remotely possible that you're going to do this in an emergency scenario, you don't want your dog to like see it like happen before their eyes in that scenario and be like, another reason that they need to flee. Okay. I had a dog pretty early on when I was working with him. I was taking him out and he was a big flight risk, and so I used lots of backups and lots of equipment to make sure this dog wasn't going to get away from me. And he was comfortable enough to eliminate. He was comfortable enough to poop on his walk, which is really big for a fearful dog, being handled by like an unfamiliar person. But when I went to go get a poop bag out of my pocket, like, the crinkling, and he saw it, and he flipped. He didn't know what that was about, and he tried to escape. He tried to flee, and we had to go all the way back to the facility. Like we were only around the back of the facility, but we had to go back into the interior of the facility to kind of reset, because like had he not been backed up and like all of that equipment in place to mitigate flight risk, he would have been gone. So it's just like a really like commonplace stimulus that he had no context for, that he was just like, I'm out. Nope, it's a no thank you for me. No, it's a no from me, dog. So if you're going to do something as novel as like open an umbrella around your dog, you want to make sure your dog is familiar with that and has context and association for it. I'm not big on like carrying citronella spray or like bear spray or like pepper spray. Like, you don't want to be super trigger happy with that, like when a loose dog's coming after you, but it is an option. Okay. Like, I want to do some other things before I resort to that, but it is an option. So you want to be responsible with this kind of thing. Another thing is, if you are going to pick your dog up, this will be the last thought. If you are going to pick your dog up when a dog is pursuing you, keep in mind that dog on the ground level can jump for your dog and grab your dog and fillet them. Okay. Is a really compromising situation to be in. Like, this is an imperfect situation, it's an emergency scenario. But like, if you have your dog up in the air, then they may redirect on you, like may redirect on your body, on your face, like if this dog is pursuing you guys. So that's just like, a word of caution. You know your dog better than I do, whomever may be still around like listening to this. But that is a risk. I mean, whether they're on the ground level or up in the air, probably more likely, like if you lift them up. But it has been known to happen before. Okay. So it's just a couple ideas, but should you take food on a walk with you? Absolutely. Like, you should take food on a walk with you because, like, your dog deserves to be paid for the things that they do, that you like, at least periodically. And also, like, it could save you from like a trip to the emergency vet, and it can save you like thousands of dollars on a vet bill. Okay, thanks for listening.